if you go back to about a year ago, and the then perception in India about the possible impact of global financial crisis on India was it's going to be very modest, because our financial system has been protected by the all-knowing Reserve Bank of the omniscient Reserve Bank of India with excellent governance, and so our financial system is very safe and sound, and our residents they may not know what is good for them, so the Reserve Bank has decided that the residents will not be allowed to invest in both exotic derivatives, this and the other. So the exposure of the Indian economy to those toxic substances that were emerging from elsewhere in the world were not there. And so given all this, there is the impact on India is going to be minimal. That was the perception, well expressed by the former governor of Reserve Bank of India, Dr. Reddy, in a speech in July of 2008. Well, within a month or two after that, Dr. Reddy was succeeded by Dr. Subra, and he gave a speech in October of 2008. Already the perception that the crisis is going to have a minimal impact in India has begun to change. And the one particular aspect of Dr. Rao's speech was he recognized explicitly the channels by which the global crisis could affect India, and he reiterated what Reddy had said earlier, namely that Indian financial system is sound. Indian financial system is sound even today from that perspective. But he recognized the one important factor of India's integration with the global economy, that India's financial integration had grown much faster than India's real integration with the world economy. So the real integration, if you measure in terms of exports of goods and services plus imports of goods and services, plus and minus in the current account, trade balance, that ratio has gone from about if you take it in the mid-1980s, it would have been around 15% or so. It has gone up to now around 50% of GDP is that measure. But if you take the measure add to it, the analog on the financial end, so to speak. So you take the flows on the current account and the gross flows on the current account and the gross flows on the capital account, on the financial side, add them up. And if you take that financial integration measure, that by some accounts, or some estimates, it has quadrupled from about 25% or so to closer to 115 or 117. So even though you might think your financial sector is protected, now your financial sector is more integrated with the world market than it was before. And so you can't project on the basis of prior perception about the spread of the crisis to India. So I thought let's begin with, let me first give you the framework of my thought, this introduction, now that I have finished with that. Then what I want to do is, what does economic theory or empirical work in economics have to say on the linkage between the financial sector and the real sector. And that's going to be my litany of complaints about my colleagues, economists, and the toys, the econometrics, and so what are the possible contributory causes to the current crisis? And there again I want to come back. What might appear to be a shock or a crisis, that house price bubble, real asset houses and its price bubble, its collapse, why it was not contained within that sector, in that, so to speak, broadly speaking, real sector, and why did it spread to the financial sector? First, once again, I want to come back to the real sector, financial sector linkages, and how the contributors have something to say on that matter. And then I'll go to the more, our impact on China and India, and then I will conclude. Now, the dimensions of the crisis here, already know, I don't need to expand on it, except to say every moment the projections or prognostications are getting worse and worse. Only yesterday or day before, IMF has revised 4% growth in January when it revised the global world economic outlook. Now from 0.5% growth, now it is projecting a decline of the order of either at one extreme 1% decline, or either the more modest decline, 0.5% in global growth. So that is as the day before yesterday. And that's one example of, in terms of the real sector growth outcome. And if you think in terms of online newspapers, only day before yesterday, the Federal Reserve, the United States announced a $1 trillion the intervention by the market, and this next week, from Monday, the Treasury Secretary is going to announce another program for addressing the toxic assets that are contaminating the credit channels in the United States and elsewhere. The origins of the crisis, as we all know, is in the housing price bubble and its collapse. So it initially spread the house price collapse and to the U.S. financial market, and then to the global financial market, and then the recession, through the recession, the global recession, the U.S. recession, European recession, now the global recession in the real sectors of the world. Now, coming back to my crowd, the economists. Now, if you go back, since I am an old economist, I think in terms of the history of economic thought, in no university in these days, history of economic thought is taught or examined for PhD. In the days when I got my PhD, you have to qualify in economic history and also the history of economic thought, let alone economic theory and econometrics. So although the teaching of history of thought or teaching of history, except for one or two universities, economic history, we teach at Yale and Harvard teachers and Stanford teachers, a few do. But otherwise, all this is gone. So if you take a top university graduate student in economics, anything that was published 10 years ago is ancient history, anything that happened 3 years ago is also ancient history. So, no historical perception, whatever. So, given that, I thought maybe I should go back and look at what our forebears thought about the linkage between the real sector and the financial sector, which I broadly call it monetary sector.